The last 6 months, maybe too tired to work for the sake of the wife Sue Turnip that sun cold, always refused to me, to the end of the whole I also a little bit of force, not easy to have a time, but also the end of the hasty. I propose to go to Sichuan travel a trip, a change of environment to see if you can let the two refine the previous passion. Before she left about her girlfriends two together, said more than two people each other can take care of it, after all, Sichuan is a plateau. Who knows in the time of departure, but only came to her girlfriend Yi Na Wan. I'm a little unhappy, it's not easy for the world of two people it, did not think that there are people to disturb, this time Sue Turnip can find a reason to reject me. However, it did not take long for me not to think so, Yi Na I used to know, but there is a small half a year have not seen, I do not know if it is to go to surgery, the body is more and more bumpy, dress is also hot and bold. When moving luggage, she gave me a bend to kill, chest jumping off hit my heart dear. Yi Na looked at me with winks and tugged her low-cut dress upwards. Lu Yang, Chenbin's store is too busy, so I can only work hard for you, you won't mind that I'm disturbing your world of two, right? I smiled awkwardly, my eyes still a bit unable to move. Not disturbing, I can't wait to have a beautiful woman to play with me. My heart was inexplicably aroused by a fire, in my mind rubbing secretly thought, wife Suchimi is a small family type, if she can dress like Yi Na so bold some, between us certainly will not be a problem. The car did not drive out far, Sue Turnip yelled sleepy, want to sleep in the back row. Yi Na naturally sat in the co-pilot's seat, and in no time, Sue Turnip in the back row let out an even breathing sound. As soon as I sat up, Yi Na stared straight at me, but also looked back at the back row of Su Chichi asleep, pursed her lips and snickered, coldly ventured a sentence. Did you guys do bad things again last night? See how tired Turnip is, she has a good life, married a good husband. These words once again aroused the fire in my heart, looking back to see Suchimi had already fallen asleep, in front of a beautiful woman, I had no control on my mouth for a moment, with a bad smile on my face. Is it good or not you haven't used it, how do you know? Yi Na a pink fist pounded on me, not angry at all, full of pout, where there is still the usual iceberg beauty of the cold arrogance. Hate, give you a chance, do you dare? I really don't dare, appreciate it on, Fran's wife can't be deceived, his husband Shenbin is my business partner, is also considered half a friend. Did not go long the sky began to rain, and more big, mixed with hail, the road began to traffic jams, road conditions are getting worse. To 7 o'clock in the evening, looking at the sky will be dark, today to get to the booking of the hotel has been impossible. In order to be safe, we decided to stay in a nearby town. Just never thought, to the town, because too many stranded tourists, asked several inns have been full. We are all exhausted, looking at the last one, the front desk said, there is a couple room, in the inn booked. Behind me, there are a few cars of people gawking, I hesitate, look to Sue Turnip, aside Yi Na already grabbed the room card without saying. Book this one. As soon as we entered the room, Yi Na apologized to us, saying that she didn't want to be a light bulb, and that she would just sleep on the floor, leaving the two of us to do as we pleased, she couldn't see anything. Sue Turnip got a big red face from her, and kicked me on the floor. Although there were 100 things I was not happy about, I could only endure it, and while Yi Na went to take a shower, I bit Sue Turnip's ear. Wife, come to the floor at night and treat your husband well. The usually moderate Sue Turnip, at this time, was also aroused by this environment, and put her hand in, biting my ear. Hubby, I also kind of want to, in a while when Nana falls asleep. Us. Bathroom came from the sound of slippery water, Yi Na is inside the bath, this couple room bathroom glass is frosted kind, hidden, from my angle, just can see the outline of the woman. But even if it's just an outline, you can see the perfect curves, I was a little out of control for a moment and undid Sue Turnip's clothes. Honey, let's make this quick and continue at night. Sue Turnip cooperated with me and sat on top of me, but when we were about to succeed, I didn't think that Yena came out of the shower. She just wore a halter dress, with water dripping from her hair, seeing this scene was a bit embarrassing and backed away again. Or you guys continue, I didn't see anything. I had this fire in my heart, but I can only hold back, drilled into the floor, waiting for a midnight appointment with my wife. In the middle of the night, I was woken up by a bubble of urine, went to the bathroom in a daze, and then returned, found that one of my wife's legs stretched out from the quilt, hidden. She actually slept so deeply, completely forgetting what she had just promised me, seeing that Yenna on the other side slept with her head buried in the quilt. I became more and more boldsome, touching the dark and put my hand in. My wife instinctively pushed my hand away in her sleep, but the more she resisted the more I wanted to get an inch, a little bit from the bottom up. Can feel that she has woken up, because of a slight response, my movement amplitude is a little more, and finally lightly pulled off the clothes she wore inside the pajamas. This woman was still embarrassed in front of her own husband, sleeping in this thing. However, as I went down with one hand under my control, I realized at once that something was wrong. This wasn't Sue Turnip's size. I was so scared that I quickly retracted my hand, and in the darkness, Sue Turnip rolled over, rolled up the quilt, and her whole back was outside. This time, I could really see, this person is really not his wife, but Yenna. Damn, but before I went to bed, I clearly remembered that Yenna slept by the window, and Suchi leaned on the floor. But that back curve is really too beautiful, even if I know she is Yenna, I can't move my eyes and look at it recklessly. What's worse, not a moment later, the sleeping her rolled over again. Several times, I raised my hand to touch that charming scenery again, but in the end, I didn't dare. It was really a heaven for the eyes and a hell for the body. In the end, I don't even know when I fell asleep, and when I woke up the next morning, my wife and Yenna had already packed up and were ready to leave, while I was still sleeping. Lifting the quilt to take a look, a black dress with very little fabric was pressed under my body, scaring me so much that I couldn't even dare to utter a breath. On the side of the Yenna is like nothing, but also at me a sly smile, pulling Sue Turnip out the door, said to go to the parking lot and wait for me. I was so apprehensive. Throughout the day, I was so weak that I didn't dare to look at Yenna, and I didn't know whether she knew or didn't know about the oops last night. But she didn't say anything, and on the way, she still made a few dirty jokes with me from time to time just like yesterday. Until this night we stayed in the hotel in the small county. Before entering the room, she suddenly stopped me, smiling in a way that could be meant. Play dumb and give me back my stuff. I was scared enough to lower my voice for fear that Sue Turnip inside the room would hear me. Auntie, this is a misunderstanding, don't be angry, want to beat or punish and so on back to say, into not, and that thing, I will give you later. I got dirty, I really don't dare to give it to her at this time. Didn't think Yenna lips hooked with a touch of charm smile, turned around and twisted her waist into her own room next door, in the doorway, but also turned back to send me a flying kiss. Forget it, give it to you, when to keep a souvenir. I was hooked out of the soul, fled back to the house, the whole heart is still fluttering and jumping. This woman in the end, what is the meaning of what to do, is really not angry. In the end, do not understand, I simply do not want to, reason tells me, cannot have too much non-thinking. Inside the house, Sue Turnip did not wash up, lying on the bed and fell asleep. I hugged her to beg for pleasure, it was not easy for her to wake up, the appearance of sleepy eyes, just like that, lying like a dead fish, do not give me the slightest bit of response. Honey, sleepy, headache is killing me, go to sleep. I sighed and let go of her, suddenly felt bored, this high altitude sickness is also too serious today in the scenic area is also, a listless look. But lying in bed, I toss and turn, cannot sleep, all of a sudden feel up and down or hungry, don't want to treat yourself, simply run downstairs, barbecue stall grilled a bunch of barbecue back, how to satisfy a bar. Incidentally, I also screwed a bottle of wine. Who knows, just walked to the door, Yenna's door opened, she stood there in a sexy halter nightgown. What, want to eat alone, I'm hungry too. I hesitated, thinking of Sue Turnip's heavy sleep, plus I had stupid thoughts in my mind. I ghostly screwed the grill and entered Yenna's room. Yenna's mood didn't look too good, her eye frames were red, and after a few sips of wine, she started to cry, then counted down Chinbin's total and total faults. Damn, he's a limp-wrist man who still doesn't know how to be romantic, I really don't know what's the use of keeping it. I really didn't expect that such a big beauty Chinbin would hang out to dry and not cherish, what a waste. I tried to comfort a few words, I did not think that Yenna cried even more, Pear Blossom with rain looked to see people's heart, crying and crying she flung in my arms. Breathing hot air lingering between the neck, so that people want to push away but cannot push, the heart of the small volcano suddenly burning. Between my hands and feet, I actually touched a piece of softness that made me feel like a baby. It was exactly the same feeling as last night. My movements became uncontrollably rough. Yina nestled in my arms, her face was full of shyness, but she leaned a little tighter against me and took the initiative to lean up. I was completely crazy, at this time. Where do I still care about what is sensible or not, moral or not? Soon, we collapsed on the 1-meter 8 big bed, under the dim light, releasing the primitive energy to the fullest. That kind of strong visual impact brought by a woman completely different from Sue Turnip, let the flood of power in my body quickly soared, and Yina, in my arms is even more delicate and soft to boneless, soft and sticky voice can go straight to the heart of people. Silky, soft and wild. But just at this critical moment, there was a sudden and urgent knock at the door. Yena hooked her arms around my neck, with intoxicating fragrance between her lips, and murmured in my ear. Honey, don't stop, whoever it is, we didn't hear anything, okay? I also wanted to pretend I didn't hear it, interrupting us at this time. Isn't this wanting my life? Is the sky collapsing? I want to release it first. However, I heard Sue Turnip's very anxious voice. Nana, are you there? Do you know where Lu Yang went? I didn't see him when I woke up. It was really worse than the sky falling. I was instantly scared out of my wits, my whole body was like a sponge that was squeezed dry of water all of a sudden, and I almost jumped from the 3rd floor while holding my clothes. In the end, I burrowed into the inside of the bathroom and kept signaling to Yina that I absolutely couldn't let Turnip Sue know that I was inside the house. Yena whispered a curse at me for being a wimp and stood in the doorway talking to Sue Turnip. I don't know, I haven't seen it either, I was asleep. After saying that she was about to close the door again, Sue Turnip pulled Yina's hand and begged her. Lu Yang must be angry with me, I just rejected him, but I don't know why, I'm just sleepy as hell. Nana, you accompany me to look for him downstairs. Okay, maybe he ran off to have a drink, I'm going out alone, I'm a little scared. I immediately felt guilty, I did such a despicable thing, but my wife is still worried about my safety, really fucking not a person. Yina could not refuse, returned to change clothes to accompany Sue Turnip downstairs. Before leaving, she also ran to the bathroom to put me in a hug. I kissed. Kiss, wait for me to come back. After such a scene, even if I wanted to again, where else would I dare, rolling and crawling back to my room. It wasn't long before Sue Turnip came back, nestled in my arms like a kitten, her eyes full of worry, saying that she shouldn't have rejected me just now, and asking where I ran off to, as she searched around downstairs but couldn't find me. I woke up and suddenly realized you weren't there, I was so scared. Or his own wife hugging down to earth. I explained to her, saying that I just ran downstairs to eat something, just came back, and was talking. Yina sent another message, telling me to find a chance to go over to her again. I didn't dare to reply, and threw my cell phone aside, and Sue Turnip in my arms, and I talked and talked and talked, and fell into a deep sleep. Yina's messages are still coming over, and even took 2 seductive selfies, with a great sense of imperative. But I've known Yina for many years, and she wasn't like this in the past, plus she and Sue Turnip are very good girlfriends, and even though I can occasionally feel her eyes looking at me a little hot, there's always been a good sense of boundaries between us. Vaguely, I felt that something was wrong. That night, after I replied to Yena with a rested, good night, I never returned her message. This night, I thought a lot. One moment I thought it could be that my wife used her best friend to test whether I was loyal or not, otherwise why did Sue Turnip appear at the critical time, but on second thought I thought it was unlikely. To Suchi, that simple brain, even if I take advantage of other women in the mouth, she will be Cold War with me for 3 days and 3 nights cannot, how can tolerate me and Yina like intimate contact? The only explanation can only be as Yina said, Chimbin is a soft shrimp, Suchi me and every day in front of her show love, she is hungry and panicked on the eyes of me. But it does not make sense. Friends and the gang of men know, Chimbin money did not earn a few, but in the outside of the flirtation is very fast, as if also adopted a female college students, from time to time in front of us to show off a bit. He really can't, raise just to see. Can't help but give birth to endless sympathy for Yina again, this woman, it is not easy. The next morning when we set off, in order to avoid making a mistake, I took the initiative to let Sue Turnip sit in the co-pilot's seat. After passing through the service area, while going to the bathroom, Yina stopped me. Her eyes were red, obviously having cried, and her entire being took on a mournful tone as she once again flung herself into my arms. Don't even you want me, I'm just cheap, I shouldn't have said that to you last night. My mouth was dry. After organizing my language for half a day I only said one sentence. Yi Na, you and Su Turnip are best friends, we're like this, it's not appropriate. After saying that, I forcefully pushed her away, and her tears fell at once, pulling on my hand and not letting go. Just once, okay, I swear, in the future, this matter we all rot in our stomachs, Turnip can't possibly know, Chenbin can't possibly know, do you really not want to? Seeing my silence, she hooked onto my neck again, pecked me on the lips, and added a sentence. Tonight, I'll wait for you in my room, okay? I wanted to refuse, I swear I 100% wanted to refuse, but the word yes popped out of my mouth. The whole afternoon, I was a bit distracted, with a mix of emotions, and I was a bit distracted at the attractions. At the same time, I noticed something strange. Su Qingyi just started to look energetic. Past a small stall set up by the locals on the side of the road, she and Yi Na got off the car to eat a bowl of cold noodles and then came back. It did not take long to start to sleepy again, crooked his head and fell asleep on the seat. In the face of Su Turnip, sitting in the back row of the Yi Na bold enough to put her hand over to tease me, is really active to let a person cannot believe. Last night that kind of vague sense of uneasiness swept over again. At this moment, my sanity suddenly returned. I circled around with Yi Na while carefully recalling the bits and pieces along the way. At this moment, my eyes landed on a bottle of sea buckthorn drink that Su Turnip had half drunk next to me, and I suddenly realized that something was wrong. This box of sea buckthorn drink was brought in the car when Yi Na set off, saying that it was to supplement VC for beauty and stay on the road to drink. I didn't even taste a mouthful of it because I thought it was too sweet, but, along the way, every time she was thirsty, or at dinner again, she and Su Qingyi each had to drink a bottle. Thinking about it carefully, Su Turnip would get sleepy every time she drank it, and it was because she fell asleep that she gave Yi Na and I endless opportunities for ambiguity. In order to confirm my suspicions, I found a reason to send Yi Na off to go shopping, and took the opportunity to drink the remaining half bottle of Su Qi's drink. Sure enough, in no time at all, I also started to get sleepy, so sleepy that I couldn't even grip the steering wheel while driving. At this moment, a thin layer of cold sweat seeped out of my back. Why did she do this? That night, I do not show my face, on the pretext that I am not feeling well. I stopped early in a county, because the drink was half of my drink. By the evening, Su Turnip's state of mind is much better, but also made a fuss to go out to eat barbecue. Yi Na also seconded her. At the same time, 2 bottles of sea buckthorn drink were taken out from the trunk. I steeled myself to accompany them, and at the barbecue stand, Yi Na chatted with Su Qingyi while but reached under the table and kicked me, and I sent her a message. I decided to play the game with her and secretly sent her a message. Goblin, stop, let's see how I'm going to clean you up tonight. The bottom of her eyes instantly swept up in a smile, but how did she know that while the 2 of them went to choose their dishes, I had already switched the drinks of the 2 of them? On the way back to the hotel, Yi Na's walking was a little off-kilter, and after sending her back to her room, I had to hurry back as soon as possible before it was too late. I have vaguely guessed the purpose of her doing this, but without seeing it with my own eyes, without real evidence, I am not sure. And after the first 2 night things, I have no courage to confess in front of my wife. I'm afraid she can't accept that I have those flowery thoughts behind her back, under the crying, but it will spoil the big event. I found a reason to lie to her. Honey, I have to go out of town on a business trip to deal with something. It's very urgent. You can play with Yi Na next. I won't be able to accompany you anymore. Su Turnip hugged me and couldn't leave, but she has always been my wise wife, always unconditionally supporting me in my work, and at this time even said she wanted to go with me. But I refused. I had to stabilize Yi Na at this time to do so. Wife, I'm sorry, a rare trip to accompany you also fizzled out. You just play well with Yenna for a few days, and wait for the next time. The 2 of us will come out together, without bringing anyone. I took a plane back to the city where I live overnight, but I didn't let anyone know. Even Yi Na and Su Turnip thought that I went to a city in the south on business. As expected, during the 3 days I was away, a big event happened. I run a Chinese herbal medicine wholesale supply company. which is not very large to say the least, but it has developed quite well over the past 2 years. Especially recently, the bidding for the supply of the herbal pharmacy of that big hospital in the west of the city was just waiting for the final knockout signing of the contract. I have never worried about this single business will go wrong, because I and this hospital has been cooperating for 3 years, and very pleasant. The annual bidding is just a formality. I believe in my own strength. So when the wife proposed to want to go out and travel a trip, I did not even think about it, agreed, but just last night I realized that the original trip is Yina proposed. Qinbin and I are peers for many years. Our stalls in the wholesale market were door to door. Back then, Yina and Su Turnip came to the herb market to look for work, came to my store to apply for salesperson. I immediately took a fancy to Su Turnip. She looks like a small family, very affinity. Yina, on the other hand, was beautiful but full of arrogance. Because of this, Yina cried on the spot, and then not long afterward, she was hired to go to Qinbin's store. Just who did not expect, this pair of little sisters, and finally both did the boss's wife. These years my business is getting better and better, opened several wholesale stores. On the contrary, Qinbin, because of a high and low investment failure, lost a lot of money, although I also tried to help him, but still came to the point of struggle. Not long ago, he came to me, talked about, want me to the west side of the city that hospital cooperation led him to do. I refused on the spot. It's not that I don't want to help him, but with his current strength, I'm afraid he won't be able to eat it, and then the reputation that was so hard to build up will be smashed. Because of this matter, Qinbin for a long time and I diaphragm, but Yina and Su Turnip's relationship is not affected in the slightest. The two are still every day together, beauty shopping and drinking afternoon tea, sisterly love. Until this trip. In fact, Qinbin suddenly gave up out. I should be alerted, blame me too much, believe that our friendship over the years. I even thought of repairing the relationship in the trip. I was naive. Back overnight the next day, I asked a friend to go to the Food and Drug Administration to inquire, a period of time ago, to send the quality inspection report of the drug out yet. Surprisingly, it said that our supply of Panax ginseng and shellfish did not meet the standard, and even detected harmful substances from the inside. But how can this be? My goods, I know clearly, step by step, layer by layer check. If there is a problem, absolutely someone took the opportunity to move. To know the west side of the city hospital that the goods needed, mainly these two. Because of the suspicion of Qinbin, I asked someone to inquire about the list of companies bidding for suppliers of traditional Chinese medicine pharmacy of the west side hospital. As expected, Qinbin's company is also in it. If I didn't rush back urgently to find these, and so on a few days of bidding, he directly dumped the Drug Administration test report. I want to cry, or too late. With me out of the picture, he's the strongest one. I can't sit on my hands any longer. I spent a large sum of money to urgently apply for a re-inspection, and I had to rush to get a new test report before the bidding meeting started. 3 days later, Yina and Su Qingyi traveled back. Just this day the new test report also came out. I finally have a new bottom. Qinbin want to snatch this order from my hands, no longer possible. That night, I asked Qinbin and Yina to meet. These grudges between us, there should be an end. I must ask them personally, as a friend for many years, why do this? Does interest really override everything? Especially Qinbin, in order to achieve his goal, he even sent his wife out to play the beauty trick on me. I didn't call Su Turnip. I'm afraid that we tore the face between us to a very embarrassing point. I'm afraid she can't stand it. I booked a private room in an upscale restaurant, and as soon as we met, I threw out 2 copies of the quality inspection report. Qinbin, you did this, didn't you, dropping the things I sent for inspection, and then taking the opportunity to take the order from the City West Hospital, and even making every effort to send me out on a trip, thinking that you're foolproof. Seeing the things on the table, the faces of the 2 men changed slightly, especially Yina, whose emotions appeared to be a bit out of control. Lu Yang, I didn't expect you to be so calculating. I told you that your sudden departure wasn't right. You even sneaked back. Su Turnip even lied to me that you went out of town, and even sent me photos to see. Since the words are all out of the way, let's not hide it. We just want to get this order because we can only turn over our money by relying on it, so tell me if you're quitting or not. Such a blunt provocation made me laugh instead of being angry. What if I insist on not quitting? Even if your company goes bankrupt, what does it have to do with me? Why should I help the poor? Don't pull any friends with me. From now on, Lu Yang, and all of you don't know each other. Seeing the momentum has gone, Chenbin became hysterical, grabbed Yina's cell phone and flipped out a video inside out and threw it over. Yina wanted to grab already too late. In the video, Yina and I ate barbecue and drank a little wine while talking, not a moment to hold together, that hot explosive scene, to say that we have nothing, who do not believe. You make me feel bad, I'll make you feel bad too. I'll send the video to Suchichi, and I'm going to sue you for using force on my wife. He was probably crazy, but I was really afraid of this mad dog, because I didn't want to lose my marriage with Suchi. I tried to stabilize him and then think long and hard. Chenbin, don't get excited, have a good conversation, just say what conditions you propose, we can discuss. The big deal is that I'll introduce you to a few business afterward. This hospital order, you really can't eat it. Just when we were at a standstill, the door of the private room was suddenly pushed open. Su Turnip walked straight to Chenbin, saw the video from the beginning to the end, and then deleted it. Her emotions did not lose control in the slightest. She looked towards Yina with a cold smile. Yina, you're really my good sister. Back then, just because Lu Yang liked me and not you, you got jealous. Your family's man is not competitive and had to come and rob me. It seems that Su Turnip is not as stupid and sweet as I thought. Seriously think that those drugs you put in the sea buckthorn drink can make me sleep for 100 years. Don't think that I don't know about the things you did on the road, and don't think that you can use this kind of synthesized video to fool me. I'll tell you, Lu Yang and I have a good relationship, we don't subject ourselves to this kind of blackmail. Yina and I both looked at her incredulously. Could it be that all the way Su Turnip was pretending to be asleep? Chenbin slapped Yina's face. Stinking bitch, you can't even do this little thing right. What use do you think you are? Get out of here. Yina instantly lost control, scratching and biting at Chenbin. You fucking have half a bit of a man like it, want what cannot, but also outside to fool around. Damn, how I am so bitter, this life is stalled on the garbage like you. While scolding Chenbin, she would also turn around and call out to Suchingi. Su Turnip, I tell you, that video did not have the slightest bit of synthesized part. That night, I just and your man how, why, what good things let you encounter. I am jealous of you, crazy jealous. I cannot get, I also want to destroy. I didn't dare to let Su Turnip continue to listen, pulling her to escape, but just as she walked out the door, she shook off my hand. Lu Yang, let's both calm down. Don't think that just because I helped you with Yina and the others that they really forgave you. That night, if I didn't come knocking on the door, would you guys really be like this? My head exploded. I had absolutely no idea when exactly Su Turnip recognized Yina, and how much she knew about those things between Yina and me. I pulled her to keep her from leaving, saying that I was just confused for a moment, and that I was just drunk by Yina at that time, and lost my mind before I made a mistake. Su Turnip then just coldly asked me. Then what about that piece of Yina's lace that you packed in the box? And thanks to the fact that I saw these, I realized that Yina had been putting something in the drink, otherwise. She didn't continue and once again shrugged off my hand and left. I don't regret But the family gave tips. In the end, what else can be done to make Su Turnip over this hurdle?